Is what early Mormon doctrine taught about black people. The prophet Joseph Smith and Brigham Young taught that black people were under something called the curse of Cain. Joseph Smith taught that this mark was black skin, and that this is where all black people come from. He also taught that this was the reason God permitted slavery. The Book of Mormon, the book of scripture translated by Joseph Smith, also includes verses about how the most righteous people in the book are white and delightsome. The people in the book who sin are cursed by God with a skin of blackness. Some early black members of the Mormon Church were promised that in the afterlife their skin would turn white. Brigham Young taught that interracial marriage should be punished by death. It's not just early church history, though, because many Mormon leaders were opposed to the civil rights movement. Throughout the history of the Mormon Church, black people were not permitted to go into the temple to receive the temple ordinances, and they were also not permitted to have the priesthood. These racial restrictions were lifted in 1978 after a lawsuit by the NAACP, though it wasn't until 2013 that the church disavowed its teachings on race for the first time. Today, there are an estimated 400,000 to a million black members of the church. Some people dismiss the church's stances as just being a product of the time. And while I might say that argument kind of holds up for a business or an organization or the government, don't you think that God's literal true church on the earth today should be held to a higher standard? Why is God exactly as bigoted and racist as whatever the modern culture is?
Now, although that creator's video can certainly stand 100% on its own, I'm still going to add my little 50 cents to it. Maybe $1. And what I want to focus on is a couple of things. One, I've gotten people sending me a lot of requests speaking about a young lady. I cannot remember her name right now. She's a black young lady who married into a Mormon family, and and people were saying that how can she be Mormon and be black? And I went back and I looked at her videos, and I found the one where she was actually saying that her and her husband are still trying to figure out their religious beliefs, that she's not fully Mormon, but she's still trying to figure it out. So I'm going to let that be for what it is for right now, because that is her statement. And if that is her statement, then that's what it is. But other people will come to defend being black and being a Mormon and try to ignore all the things that that young lady said and try to claim that the church was never that way. When in fact, there is an ample amount of evidence that shows that the Mormon church certainly was. But before you Christians go jumping onto the bash the Mormon bandwagon here, do not forget that not at the same time Joseph Smith was saying this, teaching this, the Baptists, the Methodists, the Catholics, and every other version of Christianity, especially here in the Americas and throughout Europe, was teaching, and in the Middle East, was teaching that it wasn't the curse of Cain, but it was the curse that Noah placed on his grandson, Canaan, that caused black people to become the slaves of the white people. Because the curse that he put on Canaan was that it's called the curse of Ham, even though Ham himself wasn't cursed, but it went to Canaan. But it is said that they will be servants to the other two brothers' bloodlines. So that was the justification that Europeans and Arabs used in order to enslave the African and enslave the Native American. So y'all can't throw stones and hide your hands if you're Christian, because you're taught the exact same thing. The only thing that happened different is that while Joseph Smith took everybody to Utah, the North and South had a war. And slavery just happens to be the thing that the war was about, although the North wasn't saying, we just want to free slaves, because we didn't. Your boy Lincoln said it himself. If he could have kept the Union without freeing one slave, he would have. So he didn't necessarily care about black people. So I never understand why people had pictures of Lincoln up on their walls. Make no sense to me. But anyway, you can't throw those stones, because the Christian church, as dictated by the doctrine of the Roman Catholics and of all the Protestants that followed thereafter, said that black people are a curse. Your black skin is a curse. And therefore, the enslavement, the Jim Crow, the lynching, the intermarriage, they taught the exact same thing. And you still have pastors today who still teach that message. I posted a couple of them a few weeks ago that still teach that message that you should not mix races, that that's an abomination to your God, a sin to your God, and you're bearing out children of those two mixed bloods, and you shouldn't mix them. Just like you shouldn't mix that linen and that cotton. Don't mix it. And that's one of the things that they utilize to demonstrate this. Or they will talk about how Esau married a Hittite woman and a Canaanite woman, and God hates Esau. So therefore, you shouldn't marry outside your bloodline, even though those were tribal, ethnic lines, not bloodlines, totally different. Them jokers actually married their bloodlines. So different things. But your church is taught the exact same thing. So before you Christians get out of pocket, recognize the history of your own church. And here's the thing. If Christianity is supposed to be whichever version, because all y'all claim to be the true version of Jesus, if any version of your Christianity, all versions of your Christianity goes all the way back to these early churches that taught this message. And if you were actually believing in this deity, then should you not change based on the culture? Every time the culture changed, Christianity changed. When slavery was no more economical or became a social immorality, y'all changed. When women's rights came up, y'all changed. Why do y'all keep changing? The Mormons only changed because of a lawsuit and then got pressure from President Carter that he was going to take away their 501c3. Then they changed. But so why are y'all sitting up here acting like man is controlled by religion or man is following God, when in truth, your God is following culture because it's created by man. Your God is created by man. And it has been that way since the inception of this religion. And you cannot help it because it is within your religion. It's not like your Jesus said, slaves, there should be no such thing as slavery. No, he said, slaves, obey your masters. Well, Paul said that. No, Jesus said that about slaves too. They told them, obey the masters. That it doesn't matter if you're a slave or a bondman or a free man, that you're all the children of God. Instead of saying, everybody is the children of God, so nobody should be slaves. That's what Jesus should have said, but he didn't say it. It's not like your Jesus said, hey, and all the women should be treated equally and be able to own property and have agency over their own body and should be able to marry whoever they want to marry. There shouldn't be these arranged marriages and with these little girls, these little children. But he didn't say that, did he? Didn't say it at all. He didn't rescind the part in Leviticus and Deuteronomy where it says that a young girl who's raped by a man has to marry her rapist if he pays the bride price. He didn't rescind that. He didn't rescind anything. So I guess it's kind of in your religion, so that makes it in your nature. Hey, who the hell am I? Go on about your slavery. Bring it back. Kick women down. And all you women and all you people of color, keep on worshiping this God that don't like you. So y'all have a great day. And you know what? Before I say that, this is why we have to walk away from these religions. Because the religions can be twisted to fit any agenda that anyone decides they want to make it fit. Hitler made the Christian agenda fit his work. Mussolini made it fit his work. The so-called founding fathers made it fit their work. Those of the Confederacy made it fit their work. Those who went out and massacred and killed during divine manifestation made it fit their work. Christians, all religions have made, man has made all religions fit their work, whether we're talking about Christians or Muslims or Buddhists or Indus or anybody. Man makes religion fit whatever man's agenda is. And that's why we have to break free from it. So always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.